Guys, it's Hannah. So I am sorry that I am not in front of my bookshelf, but I just got done filming me being sorted into my Hogwarts house on the computer, and all my stuff is set up and I just did not want to move it to my room. So we're just gonna stay here, and I hope you enjoy the view of my computer. And if you don't know, my background is Feyre and Rysand, and it is lovely, so yeah. So today's video is pretty exciting because it is a spoiler-free review on the Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. I just finished reading this book and it was great, and if you do not know, it is a standalone book, which I didn't know until I was like in the middle of the book, and I was like, this is a standalone? What am I gonna do after this book? It's so sad. So yeah. So if you do not know what the Diabolic is about, let me try to explain this wonderful book. So basically, the Diabolic is about this main character. Her name is Nemesis, and Nemesis was created in a lab. She is a Diabolic, and Diabolics basically are created that way they can protect whoever it is they are made for. So she ends up getting bonded to this girl. Her name is Sidonia, Donia for short, and they kind of have this like sisterly bond, although Nemesis does not have any humanity, so she only has this kind of love for Sidonia. She does not like other people. She just doesn't think like an actual human. These Diabolics, they will do anything to protect their person that they're bonded with. They will even kill their family members. As you go along in the book, you find out that Sidonia is pretty much part of this like whole political system. She's high up, well, her parents are basically high up in this political system, and the power-hungry emperor does not like her family. So the emperor calls for Sidonia to go to kind of like this capital type place to kind of hold her as hostage. Well, this puts Sidonia at risk, so her parents and Nemesis kind of come to the conclusion that Nemesis should go in her place. This is where things get interesting because Nemesis has no humanity. She is not like a human at all, and she kind of just has to pretend to be one, and along the way she finds out things that she did not know about herself, and she just kind of grows as a character, and she is just wonderful, and it is just a really good book. So that is what the book was about. Let me kind of get into my thoughts, although I kind of already said some of them. This book was really good. It was a science fiction. I thought it was a really well developed science fiction book, which I really appreciate because science fiction is kind of hard to develop. The world building in science fiction is not always the best, so I really appreciated how the world building was in this, although sometimes it could get confusing. I feel like that's just what happens sometimes in science fiction books, because there's some parts in this book where like a lot of things happen on ships, but it's like on the ships it's kind of like a entire like ecosystem, so it's strange in that way, but you kind of get used to it once you continue reading on in the book. Another thing I want to touch on is the characters. The characters are really, really, really interesting. I absolutely love Nemesis. She is not at all like a normal character, because by the end of the book she still has some of her old ways, but she's grown so much, and it's refreshing to have somebody not completely change in like the split of a second, because I read a lot of books where they'll be like very different and then all of a sudden they'll just change, but with her it was like a gradual shift into this new person, and I just really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really well done. Another thing is the relationships. The relationship between Nemesis and Sidonia, I really liked their relationship. They had this like sisterly bond, and it was just nice, and there's a lot of times throughout the books where I had a lot of feelings about a lot of things, and if you have read the book, you'll understand like a lot of things go down, and it's just crazy. Z. One thing that I didn't really like was some of the romantic aspects of it, because it was such a good book, like by itself. The romance tied into it, it was nice, but I think some things could have been worked on. And since it was a standalone, I felt a lot of things at the end were rushed, which I thought, I mean, it's not that big of a book. It probably could have been longer and not so rushed at the end, because I felt like I want to know a lot of the answers to things that just weren't answered. I mean, what are you gonna get with a standalone? I mean, you're always gonna want to know more than they give you. I mean, even with series, you want to know more than what they give you. So, but overall, I thought that this book was really well done. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I do not read a lot of standalone books at all. In fact, this is like one of the first standalone books I've read in like a really long time. And I didn't even know it was a standalone. So I generally try to not read standalones just because I do end up getting attached and then I feel really sad once it's over. Because at least with series, you can like stay with them for a little while. With standalones, you fall in love with the characters and then they're gone after one book. It's so sad. Another thing is that I wish that I could have known more about the side characters and like gotten to their history, but I guess that comes along with standalones too. You can't put everything into one book. You really can't. So I understand it's a standalone. I can't have everything basically. But overall, this was like an A+ standalone book. It was so good. I really liked it. So if you have not read this book, you definitely should. I felt like I wanted to be a better person after reading this book, just because the main character goes through so many things, like mentally. She's like, should I be a good person, or what defines being a good person, or just because I was created in a test tube, basically, does that give me the rights to have emotions and stuff like that? So it just made me feel like I wanted to be a better person after reading this book. I don't know, it's weird, and I really liked it. And of course I love sci-fi books, so if you love sci-fi, you should read this book. So yeah, so thank you for hearing about my thoughts on this book. I just kind of had to talk about it because it did leave an impact on me, which is weird because it's just a standalone. Weird. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.